Hey everybody, just to give you a little bit of clarification on what seems to be a compounding problem with a forward roll, okay? Now a lot of people, when they come to me, especially for like their first lesson or first couple lessons, and they say, I've been going through a book, or I've been learning this out of here, and I've been picking this up from here and there, and I learned this in a late night jam, and I say, okay, well, what's your forward roll sound like? And they'll play something that looks exactly like this one right here. So they'll play, and I'll stop and I'll say, nope, we got to fix that. Okay, this is not a forward roll. This is two forward rolls that has been fronted by two eighth notes out front. You can do the same in the back, you can do the same in the front. Actually, here's one right here that's in the back. So here's two forward rolls with two notes to fill out your measure, because we're working with eighth notes, right? And these two are going to completely mess up your way of thinking when it comes to a forward roll, okay? I think a lot of it either comes from several instructors or books or whoever lifting this particular measure out of the Scruggs Bible, when actually it's kind of back here. I had to flip back a few pages, and it's not even listed as a forward roll. It says it's exercise 2, working with the thumb, okay? But it tells you exactly how to run through a forward roll. This is a proper forward roll pattern, okay? So you have thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle, thumb, index, middle, thumb. We're only worried about the sequence, thumb, index, middle, and that's it. So there's a 5-2-1 thumb, index, middle. You can play any sort of forward roll. The sequence is the only thing that matters. So you can play 5-3-1. You can play 5-2-1. You can play 3-2-1, 4-2-1, 4-3. You get the point, right? Very rarely are you going to play anything that has a middle finger off of the first string. So sometimes you'll play 4-3-2. That's called an inside roll. It's kind of rare. It's an advanced technique. Usually we just keep the middle finger for the first string, okay? But however, a forward roll is just 3 notes. That's it, okay? It's no more and it's no less. The difficulty comes in, how do you actually put it into music? And that's because we are working with eighth notes, okay? So if I take and I were to write this out real quick and say, okay, I'm going to put them on the lines this time. Let's put a 5-3-1 forward roll right here, thumb, index, middle. And we're going to put another one, and we're going to try to fill out an 8-note measure with forward rolls. So there we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's the end of the measure. Well, now we have 2 2/3 of a forward roll. And this is where a lot of people get trapped or stuck or just simply misunderstood, okay? Because this is not an 8-note pattern, it's only a 3-note pattern. So then my question to my beginning students is, how do you try to fit 3 into 8? And unless you've been in math for a little while, you know it's going to take a while, but we'll prove it anyway, okay? So if I keep on going with my forwards out here, here's a new measure. 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops. I wasn't even counting right. 8. That's what happens when you get ahead of yourself. Okay. So now we have another broken roll, and now you have to finish it out right here. Okay. So the only way that 3 is going to fit into 8 is if you count all the way out to 24. And very rarely is it ever going to actually happen in music. Instead, what you are going to do is you're going to play probably either 2 of these forwards or 4 of these forwards, and then you fill it out with something else to finish your roll pattern and to make a nice beautiful measure. Okay, so I'm going to put the same thing right here. I'm going to make it a little bit cleaner this time. So here we're going to have 2 forwards. So there's 8 eighth note patterns. There we go. It's a little more equal that time. 2, 3, 4, and now we have 4 forward roll patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have to finish out the measure with 4 more notes, which you are almost always going to use an alternating thumb roll to make a what we call a rolling backup pattern. Now the one that's typically very fun to use behind fiddles, or just anybody who's singing in general, is going to be a 5, 3, 4, 1 pattern. Now you already know what this sounds like, because if I just change a couple of these notes to fret, if I change this one right here to a 2, and I change this one right here out front to a big slide, now you have a repeatable pattern that actually sounds like what it should. Okay, so just to play along, see if I can do this at the same time here. So if I go 1, 2, now I need 3 hands in order to use my nice little pointer stick there. So instead I'm going to put that slide out front, and then I'm just going to make sure I bounce right off that 2nd fret right there. So it would be the first one, 1, 2. Now all of a sudden you have something to work with. Okay, this is a good classic rolling pattern to use behind fiddles if you do what Mr. Scruggs recommends, and that is to practice 1,000 times. Because the point is, by the time you practice it 1,000, you probably lost count and you figured it out anyhow, right? So just real slow, I'll go through it. Now I'll tap my foot along just to keep a beat, and you can hear exactly where this resolves itself at the, oops, there we go, where it resolves itself at the end of this measure, and it lets you come right back on that beat again. Okay. This is not the be-all, end-all when it comes to working with a rolling backup out of your forward roll. Okay, so you can do a lot of different things. This is an extremely flexible part of rolling backup on this instrument. Okay, so we can substitute this out for an infinite number of things. It's extremely popular to play, let's say, a quarter and a quarter. So in other words, a quarter and a pinch, as Scruggs would put. Okay, so just putting that there would be. The way it's going to lend itself is, by the time you're done with this forward roll right here, this is going to resolve to your thumb, and then this is a thumb middle pinch right here on the 1st and 5th strings. Okay, so just an idea that your forward roll, do not make it more complicated than it is. Okay, it is not this 8-note sequence. It is only these right here. Okay, A roll is only defined as its sequence in your pick hand. In this case, it's thumb, index, middle. That's your forward roll. No more, no less.